Life is unpredictable, but preparing for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. They offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com. That's PolicyGenius.com.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And warm and friendly hello, welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. Joining me in segment number 2, we're going to be joined by Curtis Rogers. He does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports. He is a pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners. We're going to be diving in on what we can expect from a pivotal game number 5 with Tariq Skubal going on the bump for the Detroit Tigers. We're going to be talking about what he's all been seeing in the postseason as well. In the final segment, we did get a Brewers versus Cubs game number 4, so we'll be giving you picks and analysis on that as we touch them all. And here to start things off, we're going to give you everything that we saw in baseball on Wednesday. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, name does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to access their funds whenever and wherever. With EdgeBoost, 100% of gambling transactions do get approved, and when you go to edgeboost.bet, put in that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G, that'll get you a dollar for dollar match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we saw in baseball on Wednesday, try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
Things looked bleak for the Detroit Tigers to start things off, but they do persevere and they do find a way to get the job done against the Seattle Mariners, this by a count of 9-3 as for Casey Mize, he only goes 3 innings, punched out 6, allowed 1 run, and then A.J. Hinch went to the bullpen, and initially it did not look like it was a very good decision as Tyler Holton does not get a single out of the bullpen. He does allow a run, and then Kyle Finnegan, he has to go for 2 innings. He allowed a run as well, but Troy Melton, the Game 1 opener/starter, 3 scoreless innings, Will Vest a scoreless inning, and Bryce Miller, he was effective for as long as he could go. 4 1/3 innings, he allows 2 runs, and then bullpen implodes. Gabe Spire, 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning, including a home run. Edward Bizardo, 3 runs given up in an inning, including a home run. Carlos Vargas, 2 runs given up in an inning. He gives up a home run. And Luke Jackson, a scoreless inning, but going deep for Detroit, Javi Baez, his first home run in the postseason. Then Gleyber Torres and Riley Green, they're both able to go deep as well. In the nightcap, the Phillies were able to topple the Dodgers by a count of 8-2. I was saying in the open that we were going to have 1 game. Well, we do have 2 game number 4s, much to my surprise, honestly, because I took the Dodgers run line. But that said, for the Phillies, Aaron Nola, he was super for as long as he needed to be. 2 scoreless innings. Ranger Suarez, as a bulk guy, was very rock solid. Gives up a solo home run to Tommy Edman, but that's all he would give up in 5 innings. Orion Kirkering, a scoreless inning. Taijuan Walker gives up a run with getting a pair of outs out of the bullpen. Tanner Banks, 1 out of the bullpen scoreless, and Clayton Kershaw, postseason struggles continue. He gives up a home run to JT Realmuto. He gives one up to Kyle Schwarber, and Schwarber went deep earlier in the game against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto, not what he was looking for here. 3 runs allowed in 4 innings. Anthony Banda, Jack Dreyer, both on his scoreless inning, and then Kershaw. 5 runs, 4 of which were given up in 2 innings. His postseason struggles do continue, and then Blake Trinan, he was able to come in for a scoreless inning, but much too little, much too late there, and the Cubs do force a game number 4. They take down the Milwaukee Brewers by a count of 4-1, getting all their runs of the first inning off of Quinn Priester. Priester, man, he got baptized. 4 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Michael Busch took him deep, 3rd home run of the campaign. From there, the bullpen was very good. Jose Quintana, 3 scoreless innings. Nick Mears, Jerry Caney, both giving out of the bullpen scoreless. Grant Anderson, 2 scoreless innings. Chad Patrick, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. And Jake Bowers was able to go deep off of Andrew Kittredge for his first home run in the postseason. James Stein, not a ton of length, but pretty rock solid. 2 runs allowed in 4 innings. Drew Pomerantz, Daniel Palencia, both on his scoreless inning. Kittredge gives up that home run in his inning work, but Caleb Thielbar, Brad Keller, they piecemeal together 2 scoreless innings to be able to get the job done for the Cubs and for the Blue Jays. They eliminate the New York Yankees. Yankees are the first team to be eliminated from the divisional series, 5-2 the final. This was very much a wholesale bullpen game. Thought that maybe you would get a little bit more bulk out of Eric Lauer, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, but Sir Anthony Dominguez, 5 outs scoreless. Mason Fluharty does give up a solo run in his inning work. Ryan McMahon was able to take him deep. You got 4 outs from the opener, Louis Varland, scoreless, Uriel Rodriguez, and out of the bullpen scoreless, Brandon Little, a scoreless inning. Braden Fisher, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Jeff Hoffman does allow a run in the 9th inning as Aaron Judge actually did his job this postseason, RBI single, but way too little, way too late, and for the Blue Jays, they win this game despite going 3 of 17 with Ben in scoring position as they did a nice job of getting to the bullpen after Cam Schlittler. He gives up 4 runs, but only 2 of which were earned with 6 1/3 innings. Jazz Chisholm, a rough air out there in the field. Camilo Duvall gives up a run with an out of the bullpen. Devin Williams, he goes for a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and David Benner does not poop the Benner. He was able to give you 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, but the Toronto Blue Jays do find a way to persevere, and they get the job done. So in the MLB playoffs, if you've been looking at the last 7 days, things have all of a sudden been able to get very overwhelming. The wild card round was very underwhelming, but now all of a sudden we're starting to see some scoring. 11 overs to 6 unders in the last 17 postseason games, with favorites going 8-8 on the money line. There was one pick'em in there as well. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we're all getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do take a look at what we're going to be getting on Friday with regards to that Seattle Mariners versus Tigers game number 5 with the pre- and post-game host of the Seattle Mariners, Curtis Run. It's right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Decent Family Podcast.
Life is unpredictable, but how you prepare for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. Whether to cover debts and routine expenses or even invest the money and earn interest over time. With Policy Genius, finding and buying life insurance is simple. You can compare quotes from top insurers and could find coverage that fits your needs and your budget. Plus, they offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. It's an easy way to feel good about and plan for the future. No wonder Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com to compare top-rated life insurance policies, get your lowest quote, and make a smart move in under 10 minutes. That's PolicyGenius.com.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Curtis Rogers. He does such great work with the Seattle Mariners pre- and post-game hosting over at 710 Seattle Sports. No doubt about it, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of a Game 5 that's going to be coming up, and he's had a front row seat to it all from March all the way until now. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X along with Instagram at A Kid From Ken. And Curtis, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, we're doing good. Thanks for having me on. Always enjoy coming on with you. And let me tell you what, this series has taken years off of my life with how back and forth it has been. It feels like each team kind of mirrors the other from game to game. You saw a 3-2 victory from the Tigers in Game 1. It was a 3-2 victory from the Mariners in Game 2. Game 3, it was the Mariners 8-4. Game 4, Tigers 9-3. So something's got to give in Game 5, and the Mariners are going to have to do something that no other team has ever done against Tarek Skubal, and that's beat him 4 times. But you know what? They've already done something that no other team has done, and they've beaten him 3 times. So it's just going to be a very intense game on Friday. We all can't wait for it up here in Seattle, and I'm sure the baseball world is very excited to see how that one plays out.
Oh, it is going to be a lot of good, clean family fun here, Curtis. And before we dive into that game number 5, just what did you make out of Game 4? Because I honestly thought that A.J. Hinch had costed his team the game. Casey Mize gives up 1 run in 3 innings, punches out 6. They stupidly remove him from Tyler Holton. I have no idea what went on there. But then the Tigers, they just were able to get to Bryce Miller. They got to that bullpen, and it was very stunning to see the Mariners, who have had a relatively solid bullpen all season long, just crater the way that they did.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And Hinch and Dan Wilson have been in a very interesting chess match. It feels like AJ Hinch has been more of the aggressor in terms of his moves and has caused Dan Wilson to kind of react maybe in ways that he is not yet comfortable with. Because, look, AJ Hinch, he's been managing in the playoffs forever. He was, the head of the Astros dynasty for most of it. This is Dan Wilson's first series as a manager. And so just kind of seeing how the experience of Hinch has played out in a very interesting way. You look at the Game 1 home run by Kerry Carpenter. He knew that was going to be the matchup going up against George Kirby. Kirby has struggled mightily against Kerry Carpenter in his career. You look at that decision to pull Casey Mize after 3 innings. He was moving along, but they bring in the lefty to then face Dom Canzone, who had an RBI single earlier in the game. Canzone then is out of the game after just one at-bat. They bring in Mitch Garver, who did work a walk in that at-bat, but I thought it was very shrewd of Hinch to play that card to remove Canzone from the lineup, because if you look at Canzone's numbers, he's a 300 hitter. This is a guy who has had a really good second half, has been a very integral part of the Mariners' offensive surge here in the second half. So it turned out to work out in AJ Hinch and the Tigers' favor, and getting a bat like that out of the lineup was crucial, because the Mariners didn't score past the 5th inning there. They get the 3 runs, but that was it. They had opportunities early in the game. So tip of the cap for AJ Hinch pulling off a risky move and it paying out the way it did. Not necessarily maybe the key move as to why things played out, it did, but ultimately it weakened the Mariners' offense and their attempts to maybe hang in the ball game in Game 4.
Yep, no question about it. And now we've got ourselves a very interesting game number 5. And Curtis, you're going to have an up row seat to it. You've got on one end a man that has been just so dominant, is going to be winning the American League Cy Young. That'd be Tariq Skubal. And for the Seattle Mariners, you do have to figure that they do go to their Game 1 starter here. And how do you take a look at what we're going to be getting in terms of this game number 5? Because for Tariq Skubal, he came up short in that game number 2 start that he had. And for the Seattle Mariners, with the fact that they did throw Bryce Miller in game number 4, it means that they're going to be able to have all hands on deck. If they need to go to someone like a Luis Castillo out of the bullpen, they're going to, but seems like they're going to trust in George Kirby here with their season on the line.
Yeah, the Mariners are going to have all their high leverage guys available. I think even Gabe Spire will be available despite his struggles in Game 4, but Brash did not pitch in Game 4. Munoz did not pitch in Game 4. You mentioned Luis Castillo. He could possibly get some innings in this do-or-die game number 5. Kirby, I think, of all their starting pitchers right now, I think he's the one that I would trust the most in a situation where it's a do-or-die game. Obviously, Logan Gilbert looked really good in game number 3, but he's not going to be available in Game 5. At least I don't think he's going to be available in game number 5. Who knows? Anybody could be available in a decisive game like that. But looking at Skubal and his performance in game number 2, he still managed to go 7 innings, struck out 9. It was just the 2 pitches to Jorge Polanco that really changed everything about that game. If he doesn't give up those 2 pitches to Polanco, looking at a Tigers series win probably in 4 games. What's interesting is that outside of Game 4, the Tigers' bats have not really been a factor in this one. In fact, they had only had, the 1 home run in Game 1 from Kerry Carpenter, and they didn't have a second home run until Riley Green went 454 feet off of Gabe Spire. Then obviously Gleyber Torres hits a home run, Javi Baez hits a home run. They were able to find their power stroke in game number 4. I think, yes, the Mariners have an uphill battle against Tariq Skubal again for the 4th time this season, but don't overlook how Detroit's bats outside of a couple innings in game number 4 have been relatively silent for most of this series.
Yep, and I think that is such a good point by you. And with this game number 5 as well, it is going to be played in Seattle, and you've noted this on this podcast so much, how it does seem like T-Mobile Park just causes for more strikeouts with the batter's eye, how hard it is to be able to hit the ball out of the yard with it being so close to water as well. How do you take a look at this game number 5? Because you mentioned it, the Tigers have been hot and cold with regards to offense, and with the Mariners, there's a lot of boom or bust in this lineup as well, especially with a guy like an Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, I think in the playoffs, you got to win by pitching strikeouts, and you've got to win by hitting home runs. And the Mariners in Game 4, I think, only had 3 strikeouts as a pitching staff against this Tigers team, and the Tigers hit a bunch of home runs. That might be the formula in Game 5. Who can get that big blow offensively in terms of a home run? Who can throw some strikeouts? Obviously, Skubal is going to do that. He's got, 23 strikeouts in just 2 starts here in the postseason between the wild card round and game number 2. So, you know what he's going to do. I think the Mariners kind of know what he's going to do, but as we know, there is opportunity for mistakes against him, as Jorge Polanco showed back in game number 2. So look at this game number 5. Yeah, I think whoever can get maybe, take advantage of some mistakes that these starting pitchers are going to throw. Obviously, you've got George Kirby and Kerry Carpenter. That's going to be a matchup to watch, as Carpenter will likely still be in that leadoff spot, kind of forcing the Mariners around the 4th or 5th inning to make a decision. Do you stick with George Kirby or do you go to your bullpen early? And with Carpenter being, 5 for 11 off of Kirby with 5 home runs, that is going to be one of the biggest turning points, one of the biggest flexion points in this series is what do you do with Kerry Carpenter in that 5th inning when the lineup turns over a 3rd time? You got to kind of wonder, is that going to play in the back of Dan Wilson's head as this matchup comes back around? It came back around almost to the exact same spot in game number 2. There were 2 outs in the 5th inning, just as there was in game number 1. Kirby was pitching to Carpenter. Obviously, Carpenter hits the home run. Castillo, same exact spot. They go to the bullpen instead and bring in Gabe Spire rather than have the starting pitcher, Luis Castillo, face Kerry Carpenter. So maybe Dan Wilson learned from that. It is nice to get one more out of your starting pitcher, but what's more important is keeping a lead. What's more important is not having the game blow up on you, and that was really a turning point in game number 1. So that chess match is going to be interesting to watch as well, but I think home runs and strikeouts, just as it's always been a formula in the postseason, it's going to play a big role on Friday.
Yep, I think so as well. It's going to be an amazing game on Friday. And let's say that the Seattle Mariners are able to survive and advance. Who do you think that they would rather see, the Toronto Blue Jays or the New York Yankees, as that series is also interesting as well?
It's funny because the Blue Jays offense has been so good, at least in the first 3 games of that series against the Yankees, where you'd feel like, I don't want to see any team that's hitting the ball as well as they're hitting right now. But I do kind of feel like the Mariners match up a little bit better with Toronto than they do with New York. The Yankees this season took 5 of 6 from the Mariners. The Mariners had an opportunity to win 1 game in Yankee Stadium where Brian Wu took a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and then they just gacked it away. It was one of the worst Mariners losses of the season. And then obviously there's nobody on the Blue Jays that can match what Aaron Judge does. He tilts a series in so many ways. I get that he has underperformed in his career in the postseason, but I think avoiding him, avoiding Giancarlo Stanton, avoiding a lot of guys in that Yankees lineup is going to be crucial to the Mariners, especially because Yankee Stadium plays so differently than T-Mobile Park. A lot of Mariners pitchers rely on that high fly ball here in Seattle that will die on the warning track that in Yankee Stadium is probably going to leave the yard. So you don't want to have a ballpark that is going to be kind of opposite to what you're used to. So that's why I think here in Seattle, people are kind of hoping that it's the Jays rather than it is the Yankees. And I mean, look, there's history between the Mariners and Blue Jays from that 2022 Wild Card Series. The Mariners pulling off the epic comeback in Game 2, down 8-1 to advance to the Division Series. So, and there's also a natural rivalry with all the Canadians that come down from the Vancouver area to come watch the Blue Jays in Seattle. So it would make for a really fun atmosphere down here at the ballpark. But right now, if you're in the American League playoffs, you want to avoid the Yankees, even though they've had their backs against the wall quite a bit in this postseason. I think that's kind of why the Mariners are like, you know what, I would think we'd rather play Toronto, especially given what the Yankees can do when they are at full strength.
No question about it. But one thing that we always want to do on this podcast is get you aboard, Curtis. You're such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to taking a look at this great game of baseball. Hopefully, we've got a lot of games to preview with you moving forward. We certainly are going to have a great Game 5. We broke that down with you. So love to get people at home know what's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, we have got plenty of Game 5 coverage coming up over the next couple of days. SeattleSports.com is where you want to be. Also, the Seattle Sports YouTube page. You can follow along with me as we live and die with each and every pitch in the postseason here at A Kid from Kent on Twitter and Instagram. You can hear me on the postgame show. It's a lot of fun, Greg. It is such a much different experience from this vantage point than I've ever had covering postseason baseball. It's been a lot of fun and always have a blast talking with you and breaking it down. And hopefully continue over the next couple of weeks to have the first day of the count of some playoff baseball here. But yeah, a lot of fun in store for Friday. Feel very lucky to be able to be in the building for it.
And we're lucky to have you aboard, Curtis, as you do such an amazing job taking a look at this great game of baseball every single time Curtis joins me, lends such great insights. So big thanks, Curtis, for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis for Game 4 of Cubs versus Brewers as we touch them all.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee, and right now you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to Curtis Rogers. He does such amazing work over at 710 Seattle Sports. We had done that interview just after the Mariners had lost to the Detroit Tigers, and I was thinking we were only going to be getting one game on the board, but the Phillies, they managed to be able to get the job done, and that's to our delight, as now we've got two games on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at UnitedArts41. I think the only thing that'll probably change is if we see a little bit of change of wind in terms of Wrigley Field. A lot of places are giving you a wishy-washy opener because this is a Wrigley Field game, and again, the wind does dictate things, but 9-13, 9-14 on the card. It is Brewers on the road against the Cubs. Should be for the Cubs, Matthew Boyd going for them, and Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. I set the Brewers to where I'm willing to lay up to a -105 on the money line. This should be a case where I land on the Brewers and the over. A 9 or less, I'm in on the over. A 9.5 or higher to the under. For Freddie Peralta, he has overall been very rock solid thus far this season. He's got a sterling 271 ERA between the regular season and the postseason. 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he does have that 365 fielding pennant with giving up 3.4 walks per 9 innings. Last start out, he did give up 2 solo home runs, and he does see his ERA go from about a 171 at home up to a 371 away from home, but he's also backed up by a Brewers lineup that is number 1 in the National League in terms of run creation ever since the All-Star break. Christian Yelich, lone guy on the roster that has had 22 plus home runs this season. It looked like Jackson Trio might be a little bit banged up. He was able to hit a home run in game number 2, but name of the game for the Brewers is just moving the line, finding a way on base. Sal Frelick, William Contreras, Yelich, who I just mentioned before, all these guys give you at least a 335 on base. Caleb Durbin has been able to move the line here in the second half of the season as well. And for the Cubs, they've only been averaging about 4.1 runs per game ever since the All-Star break, but Michael Busch is really starting to find it. 3 home runs already here in the postseason. Seiya Suzuki, over the last few weeks after he was having a rough second half of the season, he's starting to pick it up. Pete Armstrong drove in a pair of runs in game number 3 as well, so you feel good there. Matt Shaw's had a nice second half of the season, but has really been a no-show here in the postseason. But assuming that you do indeed get Matthew Boyd, just been a really rough go of it for him, as overall for the season, the ERA for Matthew Boyd is pretty rock solid at a 3.27. He's only been able to get, though, about 7.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Way down with that regard. For Boyd, he does a good job in terms of keeping things out in front of him, not giving up a lot of walks. That's one thing that's really helped him out here this season, as his walks per 9 rate hovering in the neighborhood about 2.1, but we saw him get absolutely destroyed on short rest against the Brewers last time out. 2/3 of an inning, gives up 6 runs, 2 of which were earned. They're gonna need a lot more length out of him, as this is a relatively rock-solid bullpen with Daniel Plencia already having 2 wins for the Cubs, as he, Caleb Theobar, Drew Pomeranz, these are all guys that would be able to give you a sub-350 ERA, and we have seen it with a guy like an Aaron Savali who's been pretty rock-solid in long relief, but do have my question marks here with Boyd. And for the Brewers, they certainly did have to dive into that bullpen quite a bit, but the fact that Jose Quintana was able to give them 3+ innings in long relief, that helps them out. And this is a Brewers bullpen that still is relatively sturdy with having the day off on Tuesday. These guys are going to be able to pull some back-to-backs. You've got the likes of Jared Koenig, Trevor McGill, even Aaron Ashby, who was that opener in game number 2, Abner Uribe, who have all been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. And I do think that in the end, Freddie Peralta is a better pitcher, even though I do think he's doing for a little bit of regression, and the wind should be blowing out here. This is going to be a nighttime game out there at Wrigley Field, so the lights are going to be on, but still, this is going to be a situation where the wind should be blowing out right around about 8 or so miles per hour, so 9 or less in on the over 9.5 or the under, and as long as I can get a minus 105 or better on the Brewers, plus money will be all the better. Going to be in on them on the money line, and we do indeed get 915, 916 on the card. It is the Phillies. They're going to be facing off against the Dodgers, with Tyler Glasnow going for the home-standing Dodgers. Christopher Sanchez is on the bump for the Phillies. 7.5 is the total. Over is minus 115. The under is minus 105. Minus 112 to minus 120 is that number on the Dodgers. Minus 104 to plus 102, that number on the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm going to be willing to go with the Dodgers. I did set them at a minus 122 on the money line. The big fear that you do have with Tyler Glasnow is walks. He, for the season, given up 4.3 walks per 9 innings. So despite having a 3.19 ERA, 3.76 fielding independent, but I don't think that they're going to demand too much out of him because he was coming out of the bullpen earlier in the series, 5 outs out of the bullpen in the game that we saw. I believe that was in that game number 1 on Saturday, but that said, I do think that he's going to be backed up by the likes of Hiroki Sasaki. He's really revamped this bullpen because keep in mind the Dodgers bullpen with regards to ERA, they were in the bottom half of the big leagues during the regular season out of 4.21. They used up Clayton Kershaw, which honestly is probably a good thing. He's been a little bit less than trustworthy there, but you have to think that there's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. Jack Dreher has been able to give you sub 3 ERA along with Alex Vesia out of that Dodgers bullpen, and for the Dodgers, I think that they can do a nice job of being able to get to Sanchez here, who has been very rock solid. 2.51 ERA during the regular season and postseason, giving up just a half home run per 9 innings. He's been very rock solid on the road as well. It's on one of these cases where Christopher Sanchez has been just really good at home, and then on the road he just poofs a bed or anything like that. He's got a sub 3 ERA on the road. He's been able to do a nice job with his 9+ strikeouts per 9 innings, but that's that. When you've got Shohei Ohtani giving you 50+ home runs, a 380 on base, that's rock solid. They're getting back Will Smith, who's able to get jiggy with it with his nearly 400 on base. Freddie Freeman, all that he's been able to do in the postseason. Go back to last year, what he was able to do, amazing. Mookie Betts here in this series has been hitting above a 400. Heck, Teoscar Hernandez hitting for a lot more average, even though he did go 0 of 4 in the game that we saw on Wednesday, but all in all, this is a Dodgers lineup that has been very solid on that front. And then for the Philadelphia Phillies, Trey Turner, he came through with 3 hits after he, did not get the job done in game number 2 at home, but I mean, he's a guy that's able to move line for you. Kyle Schwarber, pair of home runs in game number 3, but he's really been boom or bust here recently. Alec Boehm, he's been able to do a nice job of reaching base along JT Realmuto, but do have to have your question marks with Nick Castellanos, who just hasn't been able to get on base all season long. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, this is a bullpen that has a few nice pieces. Ryan Kerkerang, Matt Strom, Tanner Banks, they've been able to give you sub 3.25 ERA, but they use their big bullet in Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen on Wednesday as well, so that's going to be hurting them a little bit. And even though Christopher Sanchez is rock solid, I do think the Glasnow gives you a good start. And I think that this is going to be a very low-scoring game in which the Dodgers find a way to be able to eke out. Semi-total 7.3. I like the under, and I do like the Dodgers here on the money line up to a minus 122. That wraps things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. A big thanks to our good friend Curtis Rogers of 710 Seattle Sports for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from his fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways to offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @GUnit_81. Keep in mind, LRCM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. And from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast, find that 5-star review. I'm with you guys every single day on this podcast, all throughout the postseason. Might take a day or 2 off when we've got a long, shall we say, delay for the World Series, but that said, every single day that we got games, I've got you guys a fresh podcast, and I'll have one for you once again tomorrow. Thank you.
Are you interested in effortlessly growing your Bitcoin portfolio? I sure am. The Bitcoin credit card by Gemini earns you Bitcoin back on every purchase. Use it like any credit card. Buy lunch, gas, or your weekly groceries, and you'll earn up to 4% back instantly in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account. All that with no annual fee. And right now, you can grab a $200 Bitcoin welcome bonus. It's the easiest way to start building your Bitcoin stack. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more. Terms apply. See the link in the description for more information regarding rates and fees.
Life is unpredictable, but how you prepare for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. whether to cover debts and routine expenses or even invest the money and earn interest over time. With Policy Genius, finding and buying life insurance is simple. You can compare quotes from top insurers and could find coverage that fits your needs and your budget. Plus, they offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. It's an easy way to feel good about and plan for the future. No wonder Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com to compare top-rated life insurance policies, get your lowest quote, and make a smart move in under 10 minutes. That's PolicyGenius.com.